Kingsdale Master Cave. On January 10th, 1993, Michael Jones entered Simpson Pot in the Yorkshire Dales with a group of cavers for what should have been a routine through trip. The plan was straightforward: descend the 367-foot-deep Simpson Pot by abseiling down a series of pitches, then navigate through Swinstow Cave into Kingsdale Master Cave, and exit at Valley Entrance at the base of the hill. It was a popular route, graded as difficult but manageable for experienced cavers. Michael and his group descended into the cave system without issue. They passed through Five-Step Pot, traversed over the pit, and dropped down Storm Pot. They negotiated the blasted hole, a waist-deep pool with limited airspace, and continued downward through the tight fissure at the top of Slit Pot. At the bottom, they entered Swinstow Final Chamber, where the waters from multiple cave systems converge before flowing into Kingsdale Master Cave. As they moved deeper into the system, the water began to rise. Heavy rain on the surface was feeding into the cave, and the passages were flooding rapidly. The group tried to move quickly toward the exit, but the current was growing stronger. In Kingsdale Master Cave, the water surged. Michael was swept off his feet and carried by the torrent toward the sump, a submerged passage where the cave fills completely with water. He was pulled under and washed into the sump. His body was later recovered. 3 years earlier, in February 1990, another caver named Philip Tams had drowned in the same cave system. Phil was a student at Bangor University College, caving with a group when one of his companions got into difficulty. Phil went alone to summon help, moving through the flooded passages of Kingsdale Master Cave. He never made it out. He drowned while trying to save someone else. Jacob's Well. On September 9th, 1979, two young divers from Pasadena, Texas, Kent Maupin and Mark Brasher, entered the clear, cool waters of Jacob's Well. The popular swimming hole is the entrance to the second largest fully submerged cave in Texas, a system of 4 chambers that has lured divers for decades and claimed at least a dozen lives. The first chamber is a straight, sunlit drop to about 30 feet. The second chamber extends deeper to 80 feet. Kent and Mark navigated these first 2 chambers without incident. From the second chamber, a narrow opening leads into the third, a room known for its treacherous, shifting gravel floor. It is here that most of the well's victims have been lost. Inside the third chamber, the 2 divers entered a narrow passage, believing it to be a shortcut. The passage was a dead end. As they attempted to turn around in the confined space, their fins disturbed the loose gravel, instantly reducing visibility to 0 in a blinding cloud of silt. One of the divers became wedged in the tight passage. The other, trying to help his friend, also became trapped. They ran out of air and drowned in the darkness. Their bodies were later recovered by Don Dibble, a local diver who had pulled most of the well's victims from its depths. During the recovery, Dibble himself became trapped by the shifting gravel and nearly died, suffering a ruptured stomach during a rapid, unconscious ascent after his own air supply was cut off. The fatal allure of Jacob's Well lies in its deceptive beauty, hiding a dangerous and unforgiving underwater labyrinthine labyrinth below. Kingsdale Scenic Reserve. On June 21st, 2003, Noeline O'Brien, her estranged husband Peter, and their 2 children, Jude and Julian, arrived at Kingsdale Scenic Reserve in New Zealand's Southern Alps. The popular tourist spot features a limestone cave with a stream running through it, a common adventure for families and school groups. Signs at the entrance warn of the risks, advising against entry if the water is high, and recommending proper equipment. The family entered the cave with just 2 torches between the 4 of them. As they navigated the dark, winding passage, the water was cold, typical for a New Zealand winter. At some point during their journey, both torches were dropped and lost in the flowing stream, plunging the family into absolute darkness. Disoriented and unable to see, they struggled to find their way forward or back. For 3 hours, they were trapped in the near-freezing water. The cold was relentless. Peter O'Brien eventually managed to find his way out of the cave and get help. A rescue team was dispatched and located the rest of the family huddled together in the dark. Noeline O'Brien was found unconscious, suffering from severe hypothermia. Rescuers were unable to revive her. Her 2 children, Jude and Julian, were also hypothermic, but survived the ordeal. The family's day out had turned into a nightmare, ending in the tragic death of a mother due to the simple but fatal combination of darkness and cold. Goyden pot. On December 31st, 1957, a 20-year-old art student named Brian Andrew Kerr arrived at Goyden Pot in North Yorkshire. He had a strange and ambitious plan: to camp alone inside the notoriously flood-prone cave for 6 days, with a planned return on January 5th, 1958. He never came back. When he failed to return, a search was initiated. Inside the main chamber of Goyden Pot, rescuers found some of his belongings: 2 sweaters, an anorak, a rucksack, food tins, and a single boot. His wallet, found in the anorak, contained 4 1,000 French franc notes, raising immediate questions about his intentions. A sleeping bag was never located. Records show that on January 5th, the day Brian was due to exit, the cave system was in full flood. The search for Brian Kerr was extensive. Over the next 2 decades, cave divers explored all 9 sumps in the system, but no trace of him was ever found.
Nope.
The police, in an attempt to understand the cave's hydrology, placed 2 life-sized dummies into the cave during a flood. They, too, disappeared without a trace. The power of the water in Goyden Pot is legendary. On one occasion, 12 sheep were washed into the cave, and none were ever seen again. The official inquest concluded that Brian had most likely drowned in the flood. However, the discovery of the French currency and the complete absence of a body have fueled a second theory: that he faked his own death and started a new life elsewhere. There were even unsubstantiated sightings of him in France shortly after he vanished. Temple of Doom. On March 1st, 2016, a 26-year-old tourist from Spain joined a small group for a guided cavern dive in Calavera Cenote, also known as the Temple of Doom, just outside Tulum, Mexico. The group, led by a local guide, also included 2 women from Germany. They entered the water around 2 p.m. for what was supposed to be a routine exploration of the cenote's sunlit entrance cavern. Cavern diving allows divers without full cave certification to experience the overhead environment while remaining within sight of an exit. A continuous guideline is laid from the open water, serving as a crucial lifeline back to the surface. About 30 minutes into the dive, the 2 German divers realized the Spanish man was no longer with them. The guide and the 2 women searched for him, but he was gone. They surfaced and alerted the authorities. A special rescue unit was dispatched, but the initial search on March 1st found nothing. The following day, rescue divers re-entered the cenote. At 5 p.m., they located the man's body deep within the cave system. According to the guide, the young man had failed to follow the most critical rule of cavern and cave diving. He had strayed from the guideline. In the labyrinthine passages of the underwater cave, it is easy to become disoriented. By leaving the rope, he had left his only path back to safety, and in the darkness of the cave, he ran out of air and drowned.